just about to record it now. A bit nervous, yeah. No, there's not much of a crowd in, but on the plus side, the journey to work's not far at all. I'm just gonna get off the city, really. Yeah, recording it at Big Tony's Giggle Mansion. It's a nice little venue, very intimate. No, the money's not great in doing stand-up these days, to be honest. I'm hoping there's not another epidemic in about 3 years, because if I earn 80% of what I make this year, I'm fucked. Yeah, anyway, Mr. Rock Bonner, I've got to go. I think, the music started and I'm just about to introduce myself on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Lee Kyle!
Hello. Hiya. So, hey, tell you what. This coronavirus, it's awful, isn't it? The worst things, there's good and bad. The bad things include fear of death, people actually dying, fear about what's going to happen to all of our livelihoods. But on the plus side, I have learned a lot of your top 10 albums without explanations, so it sort of evens up. But more than anything, I can't wait until things become precedented again. Now everyone, welcome to my show. It is called Precedented. I'm Lee Kyle, I'm a comedian. When you watch this show, I think the main feeling a lot of us are going to get is, it was a brave effort. It is an odd way to do a show, this, I accept that. Just me, in my house, and you, out there, who knows what response this will get. It is very unusual, it's unusual for me, it's unusual for you. So let's get through this together, accept the new normal, and just go, yeah, fuck it, I'll laugh. What does it matter? Have a laugh, man. Do your best, that's what I'm saying. Comedy is always a team effort. The comedian puts stuff out there, the audience respond, and then it's symbiotic, but of course you're not there. So it's hard for me to build any momentum. What I'm going to say is, I'm going to have to assume I'm smashing it. So at home, you're going to have to work at least as hard as me to enjoy this, right? There'll be some good stuff in this, some stuff, I'm going to level with you. I've not tried any of this stuff before, very little of it, maybe about a minute or two, right? Some stuff, you'll be going, oh, I'm not sure about that. I agree. But what I am going to say is, work very hard. If your enjoyment levels, your enjoyment effort levels are at 95 to 100%, you'll have a good time. If not, you probably won't, but that's on you. You've been warned. So what I'm going to do, by the way, hello to everyone living alone. Must be difficult. I've got a wife and a son in here who I get on with, so I know it's hard. Hopefully this is a bit of company for you, bless you. Or even worse, hello to everyone who's living with some cunt. That's much worse than it. I'm really sorry. But at least this will really help hammer home how much you hate them. And after this, never see them again. What I'm going to have to do, I'm often a compere at comedy gigs, which means, you know, you go, what you do for a living? And then they say something back and you go, that's shit, proper slam them. I'll level with you. Some gigs, it's quite a difficult job. But if it's a nice gig, comparing money for old rope, right? A lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is try to bring an air of comparing here. So I've got something to bounce off. So I'm going to just pretend there's people here. I've not gone mental with the lockdown, but I'm going to pretend there's people here. I'm fine. Oh, hello, mate. What is your name? See how slick it was. What is your name? Saif. Oh, hello, Saif. Nice to have you. Nice to have you here. Where are you from, Saif? You're from Oman. Oh, Oman in the Middle East. Say hello to Saif, everybody. You're from the Middle East. Yeah, good. That will be very useful for me later on with a joke. So I'm glad you're here. Who's this you're with? Melanie. Oh, look at Melanie. Hasn't she made the effort? I tell you what, you're out of your league and so on. Melanie, what do you do for a living, Melanie? You're a nurse. Oh, excellent. Bloody love a nurse. And again, very useful for material later on. Glad you're here. You, sir? Warren? Hello, Warren. All right, Warren. Hey, fucking Warren, you look like you've fucking had a rough day around. Hi, Warren. What do you do? You work the tills at Aldi. Oh, this is a problem for me, right? When comedy comes back properly, normally someone works the tills at Aldi, I'm like straight in there. Oh, I can needlessly belittle this man making a living. But now, he's a fucking hero, isn't he? Everyone's a hero. In the past, he said Aldi, and I'd be like, whoa, even the crowd, there'd have been a buzz of anticipation. Fuck a man who works at Aldi, this is going to lead somewhere. And now, I just have to go, oh, you work at Aldi. Thank you for your service, Warren. It's worrying, isn't it? Worrying what we're going to come back to. But what I do need to tell you is thanks for all your service, all of you, obviously, who are still going to work. You've all really kept it up. The people at Aldi, they're working very hard. I've got a local Aldi, that's where I go. It's great. Thank you all to the nurses, obviously. Oh, the nurses, and the bus drivers even. The bus drivers, I tell you what, bus drivers, you've stuck at it through this whole thing and you've never once stopped. You've been out there, morning or night, throughout this virus, and you've never once stopped being miserable bastards. So well done to the bus drivers. I need to approach your show differently how I'd approach other shows. Often you do some quick fire jokes at the top. Can't really do jokes in this environment because it's too awkward. I'm going to tell you a joke that I've done at 1 or 2 gigs. It doesn't really work. It's more of a thinker. If that. It's a 3 out of 10 joke, but I just want to tell you why I can't do jokes in this environment because it's too awkward. I'll just do that. My mum used to say to me when I was a kid, Lee, and that's how I knew I was called Lee. Exactly, that's the problem. The joke, not ideal. The pause, that's the killer, innit? You can't just have pauses. I can't just leave you with loads of pauses after gags. It's too awkward. I don't know what the response is. I could guess. I don't know what the response is and I'm left there waiting for a laugh that never comes. I've had gigs like that. So what I'm going to try to do, there'll be some diatribes in this, some stories, some stream of consciousness bollocks. That's what I've got to do. If nothing else, fill the silence. Although actually, silence is quite popular these days, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, we're all at home having a bit of time on our own, having a think. It's a lot of time in silence. Not as popular as it used to be, is it? A lot of silence has been replaced by clapping these days. Like back in the day, we would have minute silence for things, or 2 minutes if a Diana died, but now it's all about applause, isn't it? People are well into applause these days, they've replaced it. That sort of works well for me, that applause and silence are now interchangeable. Now if I tell a joke and it doesn't get applause and instead gets silence, I can go, they fucking love that. It's the same as applause now. Turns out, that gig I had in Leeds Big Night Out in 2011, I fucking smashed it. Madness came quickly, didn't it? That's what surprised me. It wasn't just like we went, oh, I tell you what, fucking this is weird, this lockdown. Like, presumably by about June, I'll start to really notice that. I think a lot of people had the madness the first day. They didn't even wait. They just go, shit, we're on lockdown, bang, lockdown. We're stuck in our houses till further notice. Shit, what am I going to do? And then your partner, if they work in a proper job, they'd come home from work while you're all furloughed. They come home from work and they go, hiya, what have you been up to today? You go, I filmed myself. You filmed yourself? What did you do? I ate 10 eggs with the shells on. And then I changed me into Stephen for a laugh, but Stephen with a B. And then I drank all my bathwater for my OnlyFans, and I don't even know what an OnlyFans is. And she'd be like, it's Annie March, Neil. Stephen. It's only March, Stephen. Do it with a B. I want a divorce, Neil. We all went mad very, very quickly, didn't we? Now, I am in danger of overeating. At the start of lockdown, this fastened way more comfortably than that, and now my best case scenario is that if I breathe in the right amount, it looks like these are potentially pecs. They are not. I've put on a lot of weight. The worry is I think I may have eaten myself into an underlying health condition. I'm in serious danger of leaving this pandemic way less sexy than when I came in. But it's not all bad, it's not all bad. Sometimes when I'm down about that, I've got a little tip, which is sometimes I cry out of my left eye, so it's like someone else is doing it. The weirdest part's time though, isn't it? Like sometimes it feels like everything's taken forever. Sometimes it feels like, where did the week go? Time's weird right now. It's like it's not even real. Milliseconds seem like seconds, seem like minutes, seem like hours, seem like days, seem like weeks, seem like months, seem like years, seem like decades, seem like centuries, seem like millennia, seem like eons, seem like millennia, seem like centuries, seem like decades, seem like years, seem like months, seem like weeks, seem like days, seem like hours, seem like minutes, seem like seconds, seem like milliseconds. Which begs the question, does that mean Christmas is going to be early or late this year? If there's one thing I hope changes about comedy when everything comes back, is that I hope comedians are given the benefit of the doubt. Like, I know what people think comedy is, but I want you to know that comedians are broadly people who are just nice enough people, try to make people laugh, and we get some things right and some things wrong. But a lot of people have the idea that comedy clubs are just loads of people going, tell you what, women are cunts. And I know why it is. It's because you've been on Netflix and seen shows like this. So just know comedy clubs aren't really full of people just go, women are pricks on the whole. Like, most comedians are alright, and most of the ones who aren't at least know to pretend to be okay for money. And I'm going to tell you a story. It's a true story, and the reason I did that bit is that I don't want to judge me before the story. So last year I flew home through Abu Dhabi. Flew home from Australia through Abu Dhabi, had a long wait for a connecting flight, got a cheap hotel. Got to the hotel. I was tired, but overtired, and I couldn't relax. And I'm not ashamed or proud of what I did. I did what sometimes you have to do to relieve a bit of tension, because humans are weird, aren't they? Sometimes you're overtired, or you can't concentrate because of boobs, so you need to have a fiddle about till some fluid comes out, then you can have a nap. It's dead odd. So I did that. It didn't take long. I was in my hotel room in Abu Dhabi and I did that. And the next thing that happened is, I promise a coincidence, but at the moment that I finished, the call to pray started. And I felt dreadful. I thought, oh no, how disrespectful. Accidentally disrespectful. But I was not proud of that. Part of us thought, oh fuck, is there some sort of United Arab Emirates Beatles about getting filmed? And it got worse. I looked up, there was an arrow to the ceiling, and I was facing Mecca. And if nothing else in that moment, my first thought was, you know what? I'm relieved to find out that my penis is definitely not Islamophobic. Now, Saif, glad you're here, mate. That bit's alright, isn't it? Like, it's skirting the line, but you get what I'm doing, right? It's just a... Yeah, good point, Saif. It's just a funny, true story that happened. Just relaying a story to people. The funny bit it's not that it's due to my sort of guilt, isn't it? And just a thing that I couldn't help. You're right, Saif. You're right, it's totally fine. Penises are a problem though, aren't they? Not just for women, sorry about them everyone, but for men we all worry about our penis. Of course we do. I like to think mine's in the range of normal, but I don't know for sure. I'm quite shy about it. It's certainly not on the spectacular side of normal. Last year, myself and my wife went to Florence. It's beautiful, right? Saw Michelangelo's David. Michelangelo, what a work of art, honestly spectacular, so tall, sculpted from marble or granite, I don't know. But when you see something that big and that beautifully made, you do go, wow, the skill it must have taken, like one wrong move and he's ruined it, and there it is. Beautiful, spectacular. And I looked up and I saw his genitals, and a thought struck me, and I looked round and I was fairly sure a similar thought had struck my wife. I said, Claire, do they look familiar? She said, yeah, they're really like yours. Imagine how thrilled I was. My genitals are a work of art. They're like Michelangelo's carved them out of stone. I was so excited till I googled it, and turns out in the olden days, in Rome and Empire times and all that, small genitals were considered a sign of class and dignity. It's why the origins of the black men have bigger penis thing is actually racist and offensive. It was people in those days would say that because they considered it more animalistic, so it's not really necessarily a compliment. And it turns out he'd made them small on purpose, so people would think David was dignified. But it does mean you can judge my genitals in two ways. They're either disappointing or they're dignified and artistic. I think I've no choice but to go with that. Went to Iceland once, to Reykjavik. They've got a museum just dedicated to the penis. That's weird, isn't it? Just a museum, the phallological museum it's called. There's cock everywhere. There is cock everywhere. It's spectacular. And it's an odd country, Iceland. It's an odd country. They're obsessed with how warm it is. There's t-shirts and fridge magnets everywhere saying Iceland, the warm country in the North Atlantic. You go, no, don't say it on warmth, lads. You're not going to compete with the Dominican Republic for sun seekers. It's a beautiful country. Go with the cold thing. Honestly, it's in your name. And in this museum, right, loads of penises. There was just the tip of a blue whale's penis, just the tip. It went from floor to ceiling, just the tip, And what I'm going to say, for those of you arguing that, oh, the tip doesn't count, if that one's in, it fucking counts. There was a dwarf hamster penis, which was so small you needed a magnifying glass, and that made me feel better. There was, my favourite one was, they had plaster casts of the erect penises of all of the Iceland handball team, who I think won a bronze in an Olympics. All of the penises in a glass case. The interesting thing was, almost all of them were roughly the same size. Not much variation at all, apart from one, which was a good 2-3 inches shorter than the rest. And I think he's the only person in Iceland who's always going, "You're not, in fairness everyone, it is fucking freezing. It was freezing that day." Oh, by the way, that bit about Abu Dhabi, fact you don't know, my son's Yemeni, he's from the Middle East. So he's my stepson, right? He's my stepson, that's how that works. His dad's from Yemen, he's from Yemen, so means it's fine, right? All of my sons are Yemeni, so now I know that argument. People always say that's a bad argument. A UKIP bloke he'll say something that he believes strongly, and you go, I couldn't be further from racist. He'll say, you could be. I couldn't be. Some of my best friends are black, and you go, oh, that old excuse, fucking ridiculous. But actually, it's not a bad excuse, is it? Really? Like, I'm not racist. At least I try not to be. We all have our unconscious biases we fight against, but I try to treat people equally. And none of my best friends are black. How not racist must he be? Like, not on purpose. I just live in South Tyneside. There's not many black people around here. I've got friends who are, but they don't live near here. So my closest friends, they're not. And the weirdest thing about that statement is when he says, some of my best friends are black. How many best friends has racists got? Some of them. Surely people have 1, 2, at the most 3 best friends. That suggests he must have at least 5 best friends, right? Because if it was just 3, he would just say one of my best friends is black. If it wasn't a majority, if it was a majority, he would have said most of my best friends are black. So mathematically, he must have at least 5 best friends, at most 2 of which are black. 5 best friends? Imagine that. Who's got the most famous friends? Cast of Friends. How many people are there in the main cast of Friends? 6 of them. They've got 5 best friends each. None of them are black. None of them. And I was surprised to learn that Nigel Farage is clearly less racist mathematically than Phoebe Buffet. Mind you, they've shut up about Islam, haven't they? Recently, a lot of, you know that argument that they used to make? Like, oh, I'm not against Islam, you are. I'm not against it. What it is I just don't trust people with their face covered. I don't like to be out and see people with their face covered. They don't bring that up much anymore. It's almost like that's not what they had the problem with. Those people get angry with vegans as well. I'm not a vegan, but they're right, aren't they? You know, all those people go, how will you tell if someone's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell them. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. No. Ironically, that is the best way to tell if people aren't vegan, if they use that slogan. People hate vegans, and I think they're wrong. I think what it is what they'll always say is, the thing about vegans is they always go on as if they're morally superior, but they are, aren't they? Like, let's agree, like, they may be annoying, but slaughterhouses are shit, aren't they? I think really we're angry at ourselves. Not hearing much from Greta Thunberg as much lately. It was her year as well, wasn't it? She was having a big year. She was having a big year, Thunberg. Do you think Malala's jealous of her now? Like, Malala sat at home, what the fuck happened? I was the cause célèbre teenager for the liberal intelligentsia. I got shot in the head. Fuck me. All she's done is be moody next to a podium. And the thing is, she's right as well, isn't she? We're complaining about COVID, but let's face it, there's a very good chance coronavirus is just the John the Baptist of climate change is Jesus. I mean, it's kind of inevitable at this point, isn't it? I think the onset of climate change is more predictable than what you'd find if you found Graham Linehan's Pornhub history. And we always keep going, what will we tell our grandkids in the future about coronavirus? It's one of those events like the war, isn't it? People are going, oh, grandkids, they'll be sat there going, what was it like in coronavirus, Nana and Granda? They won't. That assumes the world's going to get better. They won't. In 30 or 40 years' time, we're going to be sat there as old people going, oh, let me tell you about coronavirus. What, you had to stay in your house for a bit and you couldn't get a haircut? We're up to here in fucking water, man. Hull's drowned. There's no fucking Hull anymore. We can't move. We've got no food. Look, there's blood coming out of my eyes. You're talking about coronavirus. There's blood coming out of my eyes. Oh, there's biological weapons going off everywhere. There's blood coming out of me eyes. There's biological weapons going off everywhere. Genetically modified food have gained sentience and it's eating us. And you're talking about a time when you had to stay in your house and not get a haircut. Well, yes, but at least you can buy more than 3 packets of Uncle Ben's at the supermarket. Thanks for that, Warren. What's Uncle Ben? It was a sort of racist rice. Freedom of speech lot. They get on me tits sometimes. They do get on me tits. I think freedom of speech is important, but they act like it's the most important thing. Like they should be able to say whatever they want of all time. Oh, if I can't say coloured, the terrorists have won. I think it doesn't work like that. If I can't shout fire in a nursery school, what's the world coming to? If I can't make threats to women online, how are they going to know that I'm interested in them in sexually but lack the emotional maturity and empathy to deal with them on an adult level? All I can do is do what I learned from my father, also a cunt in the past. Why not try to charm them with your wit? Freedom of speech, man. Freedom of speech. I think we all would all agree there's limits, like most of us. But they get obsessive, they want to be able to say everything. I don't think you should be allowed to shout fire in a nursery. You know what I mean? Like, there's things you shouldn't be allowed to just shout cunt in a baby's pram. It's ridiculous. Of course you shouldn't. Of course you shouldn't. And the problem with these freedom of speech ones, if I granted them, what are they going to do? Okay, everyone, you've got freedom of speech. All they're going to do is make that joke about identifying as a fucking helicopter again. The wit of the right. Thought crime! Thought crime! There's no such thing as thought crime. You can think what you want. Just don't feel you have to fucking bother me with it. For example, deep down, I've always thought I'd be a surprisingly good rapper. I did. I reckon I'd have good flow. I think I could rap. But if I hadn't told you that, that would have been fine. Now, it's embarrassing. But if I hadn't told you, I can think it, you wouldn't know. You can think what you want. There's loads of things you shouldn't think, maybe, but you can. And if you don't say them or act on them, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. Rap music's good though, innit? I've got into it a bit lately. I can see why it's the most popular music on earth now. It long since overtook rock music, and it's because they talk about stuff. The problem with rock music is they don't talk about things in a personal way. They talk about vague feelings in an esoteric manner. They'll be like, yeah, I sorta got a thing for a girl and I like floating over the rooftops. Like, what are you talking about? Whereas fucking rappers will be like, right, fuck you, don't start, I'll fucking knock you out. It's much better. They tell you about their life and where you're from and stuff like this. Biggie and Tupac, they had a beef. The beef is like a fight on records. They had a beef. Oh, it's an incredible story. I tell you what, really groundbreaking music. If nothing else, I tell you, I wouldn't want to be a bitch ass whore to them. Ooh, they give them short shrift. They make these songs, right, and they had to go at each other. And it's an interesting story. From what I can gather, they both shot each other, but it might have been Puff Daddy, right? That's better, innit? Whereas rock bands, they have some sort of rift. They have a fallout. It's shit. Blur v Oasis. They just put songs out. Imagine how much better it would be if they wrote a song about each other. That's what they do. Rappers do that. Blur just wrote a song about having a big house in the country. If instead they'd be like, oh, I couldn't trust Liam Gallagher as far as I could throw him, he's a cunt. It'd be much better, wouldn't it? Or they were like, always were like, no, Alex James is gonna make shit cheese in the future in the sunshine. That'd be much better. Have a go at each other, lads, if nothing else. If Noel Gallagher had been a victim of a drive-by before being here now, it would be a much fonder memory as a band, wouldn't it? A lot of people have died, haven't they? A lot of people have died. That's awful, I know. Almost the entire capacity of the Sunderland Stadium of Light have died. Almost the entire capacity of the Stadium of Light have died. Whereas in some countries who have managed it better, they've only lost the average attendance. I just think footballers, what they're like, fucking footballers. I think we should take every fucking penny off them, right? Every penny off them and give it to people who deserve it, you know. The queens and bankers of the world, the queens and take it all. Because what I reckon is, these fucking footballers, all billionaires by the way, all these fucking billionaires, I reckon what we should do, take all the money off them. Because if you come from one of the worst places in the world, like maybe like from the drug-torn streets of Honduras or a shanty town in the Democratic Republic of Congo or Ashington or something, I think they should have all that money taken off them so they can know that place. A lot of people think like that, don't they? A lot of people. People who love the Queen, I don't get it. They don't just go, I love the royal family, a lot of people don't. But they'll go, I don't like the royal family. I do not like the royal family, but I love the Queen. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, she's the main one. I don't like the mafia, but I like Don Tony Montana. I like him. I don't like Friday Night with Jonathan Ross. I think it's shit. I fucking hate it. Jonathan Ross is great in it. I don't like dairy milk, but I love that chocolate. Doesn't make any fucking sense, right? The Queen, she's the head. She's a woman in her 90s, a very privileged, rich woman in her 90s. Come on. Come on. You can't tell me she's not at least proper fucking racist. Think about it. Think about the Queen. You're judging her, right? We're doing very little about her, but what we're doing, no, very little of it's good. If she lived on a council estate, right? If the Queen lived on a council estate and she'd been on benefits her whole life, she had a husband who's been strongly suspected of killing her daughter-in-law, she had a son who's a paedophile, she'd have had her fucking windows put out years ago. You alright, Melanie? If that was your name? Right? Do you think you should be paid more as a nurse? I do. I do. Thing is, Melanie, right? I heard some people talking on the back of the bus a few months ago, and they were going, I think nurses should be paid more. I agree with that. You're doing a great job, deserve more. And they said, I think footballers get too much. An arguable point. Footballers are, not all the way down the pyramid, but top footballers paid a lot of money, too much arguably for what they do. But I don't know why it's footballers who get it. People are always angry at footballers rather than captains of industry or the royal family, say. I think it's sort of a hatred of the working classes in a way. And I thought, fair enough, nurses should get more, footballers a bit less. I can sort of agree with that. And then one of them said, I think all nurses should get the same amount of money that Cristiano Ronaldo gets. I've looked into it, Melanie. I'm sorry, love. That's too much. Cristiano Ronaldo, do you know how much he gets? £520,000 a week. £520,000 a week. I've done the maths, Melanie. I'd love you to have more. I know how hard you work. There's nurses in my family, which is a line I say to soften this bit of material. I know how hard you work. I know how hard you work. But there's £520,000 a month he gets. A week, sorry. Multiplied by the amount of nurses in the UK, 300,000. That's £156 billion a month. I'm sorry, look, Melanie, you work hard, but I haven't got that. It's just too much. Can't we just like double your wages? And some people go, no, that's not fair. Could Ronaldo do what nurses do? With a bit of training, he could. He's proper fit. Could you, Melanie, for example, do what he does? Could you put one in the top corner with your left foot against Borussia Mönchengladbach in the last minute of a key game? I doubt it, love. And here's the main question, Melanie. I'm going to ask you, like I say, I've got nurses in my family. I'm asking you, let's say you're a nurse, right? Good job, well done. But you wake up the Sunday before the Monday, right? You get your first wage packet on this new Cristiano Ronaldo scale. Oh, 4 weeks' wages. That's almost £2.2 million. You've just been paid £2.2 million, Melanie. You'll agree, won't you? I'll tell you what you're not on Monday. You're not a fucking nurse anymore, are you? No. Tell you what. But, Melanie, think about this. What are you going to do? You've got £2.2 million. What are you going to I think I'm going to go to work tomorrow and deal with drunks with broken legs and dirty men with things shoved up their asses. No, fuck this. I'm going to Mauritius. See what you like about Ronaldo. At least he turns up for work. The applause is nice though, isn't it? You know, the applause, well, it was nice until they stole it off. The applause is nice. The applause is nice, isn't it, everyone? You don't have to answer. It's a rhetorical question. Of course it's nice. It's a rhetorical question. Rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are stupid, aren't they? That was also a rhetorical question. You don't get rhetorical other things. You don't come back from the shops and go, oh, this took ages. Look at this. I've got cat litter. That's heavy for a start. I've got pickled onions, I've got loads of crisps, I've got washing powder, and I have toilet roll, I've got loads. Ah, you didn't buy that, did you? That was a rhetorical shopping list. You don't go in for your exam results after 6th form or whatever and go, oh, I haven't got the marks yet. You didn't revise for that maths, did you, Jenkins? That was a rhetorical A-level. You don't get rhetorical, oh, you do get rhetorical government daily briefings. Oh, you weren't really being alert, were you? That's fucking meaningless. In 1999, you didn't have loads of people going, oh, I'm a big fan of Nostradamus, and I was expecting a whole world war that was going to destroy the planet this year. And people didn't go, oh, you didn't believe that, do you? Oh, he's a rhetorical, metaphorical, historical oracle man. can't rich people clap? Why can't they applaud? I think it's either because their nanny never taught them how, or because they've never had to pretend to care about anybody else in their life. Be one of those two. I'm sick of this hero shit, are you? Well, they're trying to claim that people are heroes and that they're sacrificing themselves, whereas they're not, are they? They're people who aren't paid enough for their job, who they've sent out and sacrificed for them. I think it's fucking disgusting. Like, your Alan Sugars of this world, your Alan Sugars of this world, fuck off. Alan Sugar's contributed nothing to society. Everything he's made's shit. The only thing Alan Sugar's worth is the amount of money he's made for himself. Alan Sugar, imagine how, if you don't know Alan Sugar, it's like, if a pan scourer, right, had wished on an enchanted monkey's claw, wished to gain sentience, and then had mated with Sid James just after his sad untimely death, and then wasn't happy about it. That's Alan Sugar, a man who's made nothing. The emailer, phone, Amstrad computer. All you've done is made money, Alan. You've contributed nothing at all to society beyond that. Branson's worse, isn't he, Richard Branson? Fuck off. Court Branson's awful. He's a hippie. Never trust a hippie. Me least favourite youth culture hippies. Rubbish, man. Absolute rubbish. All hypocrites. You never see a hippie these days, do you? No. Sometimes you see an old fella, don't you? Like still wearing a teddy boy outfit in his 80s. You look at that. You might even see a stupid old punk. Daft old punk. You never see a hippie. That's because hippies all wear suits and are millionaires now. It's not the... Is it the worst? It's the worst, but it's not the most ridiculous. Like... At least you can see at the time hippies were like, yeah, peace and love and that. At least they stood for a thing that is real and tangible, right? Rap music, brilliant. You can't argue with that. It's a load of black lads, black lasses in the past going, right, we're not fucking having this shit anymore. This is our music. This is our culture. There you go. Punk's sort of similar, isn't it? Sort of just like, yeah, everything's shit. Fuck, you might not agree with that, but at least I had a thing that stood for steampunk. Not having steampunk. Like, it's just not enough to base a culture on, is it? The idea of what would happen if in Victorian times they stopped inventing stuff and everything was made by steam now. And to represent this, we wore these glasses and big hats and get annoyed that everyone laughs at on the street. Look, it is annoying when you laughed at on the street, everyone, but at least meet society halfway. Local news. Mike Ashley's the owner of Newcastle United Football Club. You might not know this. And he's in the process of selling Newcastle United to the Saudi Arabian royal family. Now, Mike Ashley's a terrible man. But it just goes to show there's always a worse person. Now, I'm not saying Mike Ashley wouldn't behead a rape victim in a town centre. He probably would. But we have to accept that he hasn't. And it sort of made me give up on Newcastle United, a thing I've cherished since the mid-80s. You know, it's not for me anymore. And I don't blame the fans for this. Again, they're getting the blame, but it's the poor people blamed for rich people's decisions. They don't get a say in that, but I'm just uncomfortable with it, you know. Just uncomfortable with it. People go, oh yeah, but you hold football fans to a higher standard than the British government. They work with the Saudis. You hold football fans to a higher standard than the British government. Of course I do. Based on everything that's ever happened. I hold Debbie McGee's dog walking business to a higher standard than the British fucking government. Oh, but you were in the Middle East before, you told us that story. I was in the Middle East and it's not ideal. I went to the United Arab Emirates, which, you know, has its problems. But all countries have their problems. I'm not saying... It's just about prioritising, isn't it? And what you've got to draw a line somewhere. For example, I was coming back from work there. I've got to go to work. Oh, you use a vehicle with petrol in from some... Yeah, sometimes I do go places in a vehicle and it's not ideal. But it's different, isn't it? Using something that you have to use to be part of modern society and make those things that you're not always happy about. Football, as much as I've loved it in the past, it's a leisure option. That's the difference, isn't it? Saudi Arabia are doing a genocide in Yemen. I can't support that. Like, sometimes he gets on me tits, but that's a bit much, isn't it? I can't support that. Like, I like Jenga. But if I found out Jenga was somehow part of the Khmer Rouge and the whole structure was based on that mountain of skulls that you found in Cambodia, I'd be like, nah, I'm not as keen on Jenga now, really. Or if, like, one day, Sophie Ellis-Bextor knocked me Auntie Anne out with one punch, I'd be like, fucking hell, Sophie, I'm not watching your kitchen discos anymore. Christ. I mean, I will. Honestly, like, I won't hear a word against her. It's just the COVID DMV I'm in. Good job, we'll bail out the banks, innit? Good job, we'll bail out the banks and let all the millionaires stay tax-free. Where would we be right now without their generosity? You can't miss them, can you? All the billionaires flying around in a helicopter, dispensing goods that we all need. That's so generous.
Hello! No, don't cheer the proletariat! It's me! Edward Billionaire! I have toilet rolls for all! Enjoy it! Have a wipe on me! Goodbye!
All toilet roll usage is at your own risk. Your wipe can go down as well as up. All roll is the property of Billionaire Industries in perpetuity. Each wipe will be charged at 4,000% interest and will be repayable from yesterday. Your everything is at risk if you don't keep up repayment on your Andrex. I'll get mine. Don't you fucking worry about that.
Now, public schools, or private schools as it's weird that they're not called, they're the problem. They're responsible for almost everybody at the top level of government, aren't they? And the thing about those schools is, when you're that so privileged that you go to your Eatons or your Harrows, you don't have to learn not to be a cunt at school to not get your head kicked in. Yeah, I spent most of my time at school with my head down hoping fucking Liam Anderson didn't braze for no good reason. They don't fucking have that. What we need, every private school, if you're going to keep having them, which you shouldn't, but if you're going to, we need to introduce one proper council estate bully to go in there. One just rock hard lad who's 13 but looks 42. Just going, yeah, fucking, yeah, you, gives your fucking quill money right now or I'll flush your head down the B-day. It's that anyway these people are going to learn. I'm always surprised when you get someone from a council estate who does really well at school, gets a scholarship to one of these schools, then gets bullied. You're from Luke's Lane estate, mate. You're letting these posh fuckers bully you about. Are you mental? Oh, look at you, Thompson, you little fucking oik. Look at you, look at... Fucking shut up or I'll bray you and your mates, for fuck's sake. Oh, Thompson, what does your father do? A bin man, no doubt. Perhaps a rag and bone man. He fucking gets in the Elmfield Club in heaven and he plays darts and he nags people. So fucking shut up and do me homework. You mustn't bully Boris Johnson, by the way. A lot of people are saying that now. Oh, Boris is... Yeah, people are bullying. You can't bully a Prime Minister. He's the most powerful person in the country, technically. Us pointing out that he's not doing a bad job and seems, if I must say, like some sort of disassociative, lazy psychopath. That's not bullying, is it? You can't bully the Prime Minister. Boris fucking Johnson. I tell you what, he's lucky that he's so sexy, or a lot of people wouldn't forgive him. You just can't stay mad at those eyes, can you? Boris Johnson, eh? The fox hunt Cindy to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again Barbie. The Metric Martyr to his Lee Harvey Oswald. The Nick Cotton to Trump's JRU. And the Adam Johnson to his O.J. Simpson. The Lighthouse family to Donald Trump's Deep Blue Something. The Tracy Beaker to his Clarissa Explains It All. The Am I Bothered to Donald Trump's What You Talking About, Willis. The Stop Being a Twat Craig to Donald Trump's Quit Being a Twat Craig. A lot of people think he's doing a good job. He isn't doing a good job, is he? I just don't trust him, honestly. I'd be more likely to trust Brian Harvey to drive us back from a potato shop than him to be Prime Minister. He got ill the other week. National tragedy. Now he didn't die. Slogans, that's all they do, innit? We've got people in government who don't really believe anything apart from the one power. Now they've landed with a big crisis. All they know is slogans and trying to make themselves look good. That's the problem with populism. Slogans. And it works. It works every time. People on the left don't get that, do they? It's all about manifestos and policies. Nice idea. They always go, oh yes, but what happens? Wait until they read the manifesto. It's very positive on the doorstep. We're handing around the manifesto. People don't read manifestos. I've never seen a manifesto. People aren't going to read your manifesto. I'll read anything, and I've never read a manifesto. I'll read anything except manifestos, instructions, and your blog, right? Never read one. I had a joke about Thatcher. When she died, people were going, oh no, you've got to remember, Thatcher is a mother. I mean, she's a mother, yeah. We must remember Thatcher is a mother to a mercenary and a racist. Now, what I'd like to do is rewrite that joke about Boris Johnson, but I don't know anything about his kids. Not unlike him. It's all money, innit? Everyone's obsessed with money. Just, oh, give us your money. I want your money. With that in mind. You know, a lot of the people who died of this would have died soon anyway, which is a hell of a bold move by the usual cunts to try to make that an argument, isn't it? How much money must we lose just to save lots of lives? It's a terrible argument, isn't it? Like, you could use that argument with Shipman, couldn't you? Use that argument with Shipman. Oh, you know, a lot of his victims would have died soon anyway. There's exact same argument, exact same argument. Say what you like about the Conservatives, mind you, when they did all these arguments for Brexit, going, oh, the nation's full, the nation's full. It turns out they are very dedicated to thinning the herd a bit, aren't they? They'll do anything to give us a bit of space, it seems. Shipman, serial killers, they're popular now. Do you, anyone like that? Warren, not your bag? Yeah, you let them safe, yeah, big fan. You and Melanie, you watch documentaries about them together. Who's your favourite? Bit far, okay. They're very popular at the minute, and I think it's like, people like the difference in psychology, go, whoa, it's terrifying, and I think they've also dropped a bit in number, serial killers, because of detection and stuff, and DNA evidence, so maybe it's almost getting towards being a safe way to be scared. It almost feels a bit like a horror movie. I'm not that into them myself. I watch a lot of documentaries about fare dodgers. They're my favourite criminals. My favourite's a bloke called Carl Fairweather. You'll have heard of him. He was a serial fare dodger. Oh, honestly, the crimes he racked up, he'd go from train system to train system, just not paying his fare and giving other people's addresses. Oh, it was incredible. I found out about him famously, of course, when they went to his house in the early 90s and dug his back garden up and found absolutely no metro tickets in it. Something should be done, shouldn't it? Something should be done. That's what everyone's saying. Something should be done, but nobody really knows what. I don't know what to do. We act like something can be done. I'm not sure it can. Something should be done. What? Something. Like what? I don't know, anything. Who should do it? Someone. It's better than nothing, isn't it? Something should be done. Just anything, man. Something should be done. Oh, who should do it? You do it? What, me? I have to do everything. They say something should be done. I don't know what can be done. It's not our game, is it? All we can do is just not get involved, and that's tragic, but it's a rich person's game. It's not for us. It's not about us. We don't matter. We'll never matter. The best we can do is live our lives despite them and partially to spite them. There's nothing we can do. Don't care. The Home Secretary could break into your house tomorrow, right? Slaughter your entire family. All it would be good for is a Twitter storm, a think piece in The Guardian, then the next day, Boris Johnson would bumble out some racism and no one would ever speak of it again. Class war, anyone? Could have a class war, I suppose, but it's pointless, really, isn't it? Like, we're going to have a class war, we could get all the hard lads from our school, storm round, but they've got tanks. And what we're going to do? Drive an escort into them. They've got tanks. Just got to accept it, I suppose, and live our lives as best we can. The boredom's difficult. Being stuck in lockdown, innit? The boredom. Every day's the same. Every day's the same. But in a way, I sort of enjoy the routine. I'm not used to routine in my job. I travel about different places. It's been nice to be stuck in with the pressure removed of having to think for myself. I got sick of doing stuff, you know, what you're doing today, something, and tomorrow I've got to do something else. It's just things after things after things to the grave. And now I'm doing nout. It's brilliant, I've got to tell you. I sort of be doing the dishes and I've approached a sort of zen-like state, you know, like I've got my routine, the same thing every day.
Wake up, snooze alarm, sleep, wake at noon, coffee, teeth, shower, existential dread, text wife, wake son, write, get bored, internet, lunch, dishes, watch the first minute of 6 films, YouTube video about wood turning, nap, internet, wife home, pretend I've been busy, tea, dishes, 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 guilt, film, lie on city, set alarm, bed, stare into abyss, sleep, dream about, dishes, 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 dishes.
The myth of Sisyphus, isn't it? The Greek myth where what happened with Sisyphus, if you don't know the story, he was the bloke who has to push a massive boulder up a mountain for eternity as punishment because he escaped death, so he has to do the same thing forever, which is a bit like parallels to now, isn't it? So he'd be pushing it up for ages. And what actually happened with Sisyphus is at first he was proper fucking annoyed. He's like, fuck me, pushing this bastard up. Because it was a pretty heavy boulder. I don't know if you've ever pushed it over a man-sized boulder. They're a bastard on the back. He was pushing it. But eventually, Sisyphus accepted it. And I guess that's what we have to do, right? He accepted it. He was like, oh, I'm going to be pushing this boulder forever then. He started to find it absurd and then funny, and I suppose that's what we've got to have to do, like a never-ending Groundhog Day, you know, just pushing a boulder up or doing our dishes or just waiting to see if things become precedented again. In a way, I'm scared. I'm enjoying the loss of control and not having to think for myself. Like, I'm a bit scared of just going outside. The best way I've found to relax is I found a new bit of music, and it's my new favourite. It's so relaxed. It's called 4 minutes 33 by John Cage. You've probably heard of it, right? You may not know the title, but you'll be familiar with the concept. A lot of people think of it as a joke. It's 4 minutes 33 of total silence, and honestly, I love it. It's probably the best song I've ever written, right? I love it so much I've got it as my ringtone. And what it is it's totally silent. It's great, especially if it comes on among other music and it catches you unawares, and then it's totally silent and you start to hear music in the world around you. Birds song, a car going past, that couple from a few doors down who had a great argument the other day because she's got some other lad. She was flirting with him while pregnant, and he's now not sure if it's his and he's going to break Craig. Right, and it's just great, and it's also the best bit of comedy ever written. You can put it on, right? It's the best bit of comedy ever because you can put it on and just imagine other whatever you find funniest. That's what's in your head. It's perfect. So what I'm going to do, unprecedented this, I'm going to play a bit. I'll play the whole thing. 4 minutes 33, everybody. Hope you enjoy it, by John Cage.
Hey, turn that fucking music down, lad.
Sorry.
What I don't get is why on we're even more angry. The whole world's looking at us going, whoa, that's ridiculous. And we're like, look, it's only a total fucking disaster.
A nation of fallout tugging serfs, clapping for a nurse while the votes pay the worst. Rather die a mass sat in millionth class than never raise their voice to Excalibur's choice. United States, divided fates. Ignited hate means dire straits. If you must have a gun, make 'em run, get it done, son. It doesn't take Edison to get free medicine. UK, you can protest if it means now, not near Parliament or near the Queen's house. Married to their cousins like a cliche of the Deep South. Where's Andrew? Over at Weinstein's house. Never gonna work if you protest beside. Never gonna work if you protest outside. Never gonna work if it's unoccupied. Next time protest Parliament. Inside.
Except it's just words, that's no solution, is it? Look at America, there was loads of racists with guns stormed the town hall, and I was like, whoa, that's not on. So I'm definitely against terrorism, so I don't know what to suggest. Nothing really, just words.
Fuck him, cause the day he was revived, I never thought I'd be sad that someone hadn't died. If he died, hundreds more people might have survived. Instead it's lies after lies after lies after lies after lies after lies. No beliefs, crocodile beef, sticking a blaster on a dead fig leaf. Commander-in-chief, the lies after lies after lies. Thief after 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 thief. 9/11 after 9/11. Thief after thief after thief. Fuck for an iron bevan. Light through her hands like Massimo Taibbi, and I'm supposed to care what you've named your baby. Feeling incomplete, can't pay for your heating. Don't feel beaten, tear down eaten. It might sound callous, filled with malice. In the interest of balance, storm the fucking palace.
I mean, actually don't. They've got tanks, haven't they? And totally necessary expensive nuclear bombs.
Hope many of us are you willing to sacrifice me, my son, my wife, ruin everyone's life to keep yourself from getting slightly less prosperous. I hope you drown in the Bosphorus.
The Bosporus is a body of water that connects the Mediterranean to the Black Sea and kind of rhymes with prosperous.
See? That's a problem with freedom of speech, innit? 100% freedom of speech means I'm allowed to have just done that. See that rap? It's awful, wasn't it? Chubby fat white man in his 40s wearing a raspberry coloured suit thinks, I'll just do a rap. There's nothing you can do. Don't tell me that's alright. And it also teaches a very important lesson about cultural appropriation, everyone. Don't do it, it's naughty. Sorry, I can hear me ringtone. Hello? It's the police! No, you can't touch us for that thing where I said, like, storm the palace. I didn't actually say it. I thought it, didn't I? And there's no such thing as thought crime. Yeah. No, it's not a problem even if I did anyway, because you see that rap? It was rhetorical. This doesn't make any sense anyway, because it's not I recorded this yesterday, yeah. No, you're right, officer, time is meaningless now. Time's meaningless, isn't it? What? Oh, good point. Merry Christmas to you. Turns out, everybody, because of the meaningless of time, it's now Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Didn't it come fast this year? So let's all head to our windows like they do in Italy and join the chorus of Christmas cheer. It'll be lonely this Christmas. Everyone. Lonely and blue. It'll be lonely this Christmas. They're not joining in. Lonely without you, everyone. It'll be cold. Cold. It'll be cold. It'll be cold, so cold. Without. It's just no Christmas spirit round here. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really hope you've enjoyed all of this, or some of it, or most of it, but all would be great. But whatever you've enjoyed, just know I've worked very hard on it, and I'm planning on doing a show like this every month, brand new stuff, not previewed, about an hour, put out there, see what happens. I want to come out of this pandemic a better comic than when I came in. Next month's show will be about the area I'm from and where I live, South Tyneside. I think it's an unusual place, and I'd like to share with you some things about it and the reasons why I think it's unusual. If you can afford it, you can support me monetarily. I've genuinely lost all my work. That would be brilliant. Go to coffee.com/Lee Kyle, ko-fi.com/Lee Kyle. Chuck some money over if you can, or patreon.com/Lee Kyle. I've got a Patreon account. There's loads of stuff on there depending on how much you want to give a month, if you fancy that. There's podcasts, live shows, tickets to live shows, DVDs, books, loads of kids shows, loads of things on there. I've really tried to work hard to make it worth your while, right? I really appreciate everyone who's done that. Also, if you could just tell somebody, that's the best way, isn't it? If someone who you think might like this, or someone who you think might give it a shot, that'd be brilliant. It's really hard as a not well-known comic to get people to see your stuff, and I appreciate everyone who watches, whether they agree or disagree with the things I think that's an important thing. I really do appreciate it. And at the end of the day, maybe the real pandemic is the debilitating virus we caught along the way. And I'd like to leave you with some words of wisdom my great-grandmother gave me as a very young boy. She sat me on her knee. She said, Lee, if you remember one thing I say to you, remember this. Motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Death Row. And those words never left me heart. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely rest of however long this lasts. Look after yourself and each other.